For the last few weeks, everyone has been talking about setting intentions, manifesting, abundance, vision boards. It's the Lionsgate portal, and this is wonderful. I know that I took some time to call in what I've been waiting for, hoping for, what has been coming to me. But I find that so many of us get locked in this excitement of the Lionsgate portal that just passed on August 8th and we don't do anything next. Eventually, you have to go back to work, right? Monday comes. The future is not built on just one magical day, it's built on hundreds of ordinary ones.
Welcome to the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast, where you master your mind and coach your own comeback. You are the hero, you are the guide, and you will learn to architect your life from the inside. I'm your host, Britannia Stowe, joined by my sister and co-host, Annika Wilder. Enjoy the show.
Over the last week or so, everyone has been doing the things, right? You've been journaling, you've been writing lists, burning lists, making room, maybe even cleaning. This was something that my husband, who doesn't believe in astrology, and maybe believes in energies a little bit, but he found himself cleaning and organizing and get rid of things, donating, kind of creating space, physical space in our home. And that is how he was calling in this energy. I wrote down my intentions and what I was going to let go of. And this is all great. I had a girlfriend go to the mountains. This is awesome. And we do want to take advantage of that powerful energy. But whether you believe in the Lionsgate portal or this energetic doorway, or you just simply have been feeling a little energized lately, I encourage you to stop. This is great. Stop with the vision boards and stop with the manifesting and stop because it is powerful. But if that is all that you are doing, well, then you don't actually understand what manifestation is all about. You see, it serves a purpose because once you've felt that energy and you've written down what you want and you've decided what you want to let go of, you then have to take action. And most people get stuck on this idea of, okay, now what do I do now? What is it that I actually want? So now that the portal has passed, what are you going to do? Right? Writing those intentions is exciting, but living them, that's the hard part. Motivation feels incredible. You leave yoga inspired, or you listen to a YouTube video and you're going to take on the day. Maybe you came from a conference and you feel like you have the energy to take on the world. And you might even believe it in that moment that you can accomplish all the things, which is great. And that is important. But you can't just live in feeling that, right? You can't just listen to podcast after podcast. Everything should feel possible. And then you take action, right? The feeling fades. And so often we don't take action, not because the dream has disappeared, but because the energy has. And we feel that. Go, well, I don't feel like taking on the day. I don't feel like going after my dreams. I don't feel like applying for jobs. I don't feel like changing my life. But emotions are temporary. And I cannot stress that enough because my emotions, I feel like, have been a little bit like a roller coaster, trying to decide where to pour into besides my son. And how does that need to pivot now that he's one? How do I take care of myself, my finances, my family as a whole? What do I need to do? And I need to look at my life through a discipline lens, right? Discipline equals freedom. And that is exactly what you do when motivation leaves. You focus on the small things, on the daily disciplines. I think manifestation as a whole is misunderstood, right? We sit there and go, well, I said my affirmations. I wrote down what I wanted. I even visualized it. And I asked the universe, right? Ask and ye shall receive. That's what we learn, right? And yes, that is important, but it doesn't stop there. It is just one part of the equation. It's like, E equals MC squared, just doing the E and expecting to get the whole, result. It doesn't work that way. So I encourage you to look at your life and the daily disciplines. Manifestation is in relationship to your daily disciplines. So it's like planting seeds, right? Your manifestations are the seeds, but now you have to water, shine light, nurture, love every day. If there's any like plant moms out there, you can't just buy a plant from Home Depot or your local plant store and expect it to be okay. You have to know exactly how to care for it, what kind of light it needs, what kind of water it needs. And it may not be every day, but weekly, you need to water it. It might need plant food. It may need to change position. It may do better next to one plant versus another. There are these things that you have to do when you're taking care of plants, and your desires are the same way. It's not a one and done. It's not like, yep, I asked for it. Yep, I laid it out. I wrote it down. I made a vision board. It's not enough. We have to be constantly pouring into it. And the way you pour into it is what you do every day, what you do at a minimum weekly. And what happens is people stop watering their plants, stop caring for their manifestations because they get busy, they get distracted, their social life ticks up, or work gets a little bit more stressful. And all of a sudden they go, yeah, yeah, I manifest, ask the universe, it'll come when it comes. Well, sure, divine timing is a thing, but you also have to take that action towards it. Otherwise, the universe is like, oh, actually, their social life is a little more important than what they said was the most important. You still have to continue to have that relationship with your manifestation and with the universe. It's a symbiotic relationship. One of the things that I think is important to note here is as we're busy doing the things and calling it in, and even trying to do those weekly or daily actions to pour into our manifestations and our desires, I wonder if people stop and reflect on what kind of person they need to be to have what they want, right? So let's think about that for a minute. If you are wanting to be a writer and you want to spend your time writing and you want to maybe provide for your family in that way, but as a person, you enjoy going out on the weekends. Maybe you go shopping. Maybe you enjoy a lot of Netflix. None of this is wrong, but is a accomplished author who's working to get their first book out, are they prioritizing going drinking with their friends and going shopping and following the latest trends? Or are they finding every quiet moment to work on their book? Are they reading more? Are they following other authors? Are they looking for inspiration? Are they taking workshops, right? What kind of person do you need to become to call in what you've been asking for? We often think, when do I get it? When do I get what I want? Then I'll become who I think I'm supposed to be, right? Do I need to be, you know, dressed a certain way? That might be something worth considering. But I think it's more than that. It's, do I need to be a patient person? Do I need to be a reflective person? Do I need to be courageous? Think of the type of person, the qualities of the person who has what you want. How do they show up? How do they show up every day? I'm not just talking the highlight reel, right? How do they show up every day? When their alarm clock goes off, do they hit snooze? Do they prioritize their health? These are things that you need to consider because it's more important to embrace the process than to once a year, Lionsgate portal, I'm going to hurry, write down my manifestations, visualize it, ask the universe, and then I'm done, right? It's more important for you to realize that you need to become the person that has these things. And as you put effort and these daily disciplines, watering your manifestation, shining light on them through becoming the person you are meant to be. That is where the true transformation is. And that's how you align with what you want. That's how you raise your vibration. That's how you become the person that has the things, is you become the person. You don't it's not like winning the lottery and all of a sudden you have all this money. You're like, okay, I'm going to do what millionaires do. Well, most of us aren't going to win the lottery. But what can we do now as we prepare for those blessings to come in? I find that, especially being a new mom, can I say new mom still? It's been a year. It's still new. That we can overestimate what we can do in a day, but we underestimate what we can do in a year. If I look back over this last year, I have actually accomplished a lot. But if I look at what I did yesterday, I feel like I got nothing done. Yet I beat myself up over what I didn't get done yesterday. And I somehow forget about all the things I accomplished last year. We need to focus on a longer plan. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Let's let go of the 5, 10, 20-year plan. Those have their place, but let's just let that go for a minute. And let's think about what you could accomplish in a year, breaking it down by 12 months. By the next Lionsgate portal, what could you have? What could you call in? What kind of person can you be? One of the things that I was able to do in the last year was lose over 60 pounds. Previously, previous Britannia, it took me like 6 years to lose that kind of weight, but I did it in a year. And I did it without focusing on it, without it being my only thing that I was trying to do. Because I decided I was going to be the type of person that prioritizes health, that prioritizes my family, that I trusted that if I eat the things that I know are good for my body, if I focus on fuel and I prioritize sleep and I do the things that bring me joy instead of obsessing over being thin or losing all this fat or weight or whatever, I focused on becoming who I am. And a year later, here I am, right? So we have to let go of what we can necessarily accomplish in a day and focus on what we can get done over a long period of time if we continue to water our seeds, if we continue to pour into those manifestations. There are things that you can do in a single day. There's something you can do in a single minute, right? You could take a moment to submit your resume to a job or ask a friend if there's any opportunities, to ask your boss, or to maybe build a profile on an online dating site. Or maybe it's to actually sit down and come up with a title for your book. Or maybe it is, talking with a business owner about how they run their business. There are small things that you can do, and we don't want to neglect that because that's actually very important what you can do daily. But talking to another business owner isn't going to build your business. Surfing biz buy sell is not going to make you magically purchase a business and have the millions that you want, right? But it is part of the process. And when you are building a business or when you are planning, building your strategic plan or your business plan, it's a long process to build it out and to execute. It's broken down in these quarter segments usually. And then when you're looking for investors or when you're wanting to, bring people into your project, people are going to ask, well, what's a long-term goal? 5 years, 10 years. But you have to first build that first year plan. And once you have that, then you can create daily executions. It's the same idea of, writing your to-do list and then starting to cross things off. You got to take the time to write the list. So take the time to pour in to your manifestations by deciding what are the daily disciplines you are going to do. I'll tell you one of the things that you could stop doing is looking for signs. If you're going out with your friends and you're going shopping and you're hanging out by the pool, that's fine. That's fine. But if all you're doing to pour into your manifestations, to water, to shed light onto them, is to go, universe, I need a sign. I'm ready for my sign now. Well, it's like Jeff Foxworthy. There's your sign. There's your sign that you're not going to get what you want because it's not enough. The sign was that you actually took the time to write them down, to write what you want, to call in that energy. That was your sign. Now do the work. It's very interesting when you start taking those steps. So, right now, I'm trying to decide if I want to go back and get a full-time job or not. And I have been sitting on this like, well, I really need to publish my book, but I also need to help provide for my family. And so, what do I do? And I've been starting to look on Indeed and update my resume and picture myself. Okay, do I need a job that does this? And I've been looking into daycares and do I work from home and work remote, or do I actually put my son in daycare? And just these little daily works. I had someone reach out to me today and say, "Hey, Britannia, I've just been thinking about you, and there's a job opportunity that I think might align with you and what you are looking for." I haven't talked to this person in months. They have no idea that I even started to look for a job. But because I did the daily work, because I did the daily disciplines, because I'm pouring and watering into my manifestations of wanting to provide for my family and having a little bit of direction, the universe goes, okay, here you go. That's your sign. But it doesn't come if you sit there in just that first part and that first part of the equation. You have to continue building it out. I think it's important, at this time to continue to be reflective. And in your Coach Yourself segment today, I want you to sit on some questions. What intention did I set that deserves my attention this week? So, what intention did you set? And maybe you listed 7. Just take one of them. And which one are you going to pour into this week that you're going to focus on? You're going to reread. You're going to take action towards. Because that's the next question. What's one action that you can take in the next 24 hours? What's one action you can take every 24 hours? So you can take 7 actions over the next week. And who do I need to become to create the life I am asking for? This, I think, is one of the hardest parts. It's so easy to get excited in the energy of the universe or a podcast or, a conversation and be like, yes, let's go. And then you get a text message or you get an Instagram notification or your friend calls you and there's all these distractions. What are you going to do about it? Maybe you focus on becoming the person that has what you want. Whether the Lionsgate portal resonated with you spiritually or whether you're just simply using this time to reflect. Don't let it become just another beautiful idea that fades away because your life won't change that way. It doesn't take one big, powerful, magical day to change your life. It is the daily disciplines, it's the little things you do, those daily habits after the excitement is over. Maybe that's the real lesson here. Maybe that's the real portal. Maybe the Lion's Gate was the door, but the actual walking through is the daily steps. It's not about this moment that opens up the sky. It's about you continuing to walk the path. It's about opening up inside of you and becoming the person that you know that you are, the person who has the things you want, making small steps every single day, setting an intention when you first wake up, and deciding to become the person who said, I want this. I'm ready for this blessing. Becoming the person is the hardest part and it takes the most time. But let's not worry about the amount of time that it takes and instead focus on what you can do today, what you can do this month, times 12, so that the next Lionsgate portal, you're not asking for the exact same thing you asked for a week or 2 ago. Create the change. Be the person you want to be.
This has been another episode of the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, subscribe and share the love. And remember the teachings of Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Until next time, trust yourself, take the wisdom, take the breath, and take the next step.